stocking stuffer. So check them out, or just treat yourself. So we're just taking care of everybody here on the holidays.
Hey, taking care of your holiday shopping.
That's all. Yeah, all you need to do is just listen to us, and you're done. Okay, Haley Adams has been to the CrossFit Games 6 times in her career. 3 times as a teenager, 3 times as an individual. She has never finished lower than 6th. Incredible. She took 5th this last year at the Games. She's also coming off a 5th place finish at the Rogue Invitational. We talked to her about this past season, how she's matured both as a person and as a competitor, and the chances, Tommy, this will be intriguing, that we may be seeing her in the squared circle at some point. So here's our interview with Haley Adams. Okay, let's bring in Haley Adams. Haley, thanks so much for being here. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I've heard a lot of good things about the show and seen some cool. So I'm excited.
Well, clearly someone's lying to you, and I'm sure that's Roy McKernan, but we appreciate his efforts. But before we kind of jump into things, what has the last year been like for you? Because I know you going back to 2020, you came off what was a great finish to the Games. I know you were a little disappointed with ultimately how it ended in that last event. But now, fast forward through 2021, how's this season been for you?
Yeah, honestly, this season seems like it went by so fast. I think because we had a little bit of a faster turnaround last year at the 2020 Games. So from the Open to quarterfinals, semifinals, it just went by so fast. But honestly, it was a really good year. I wouldn't have changed anything that I did. I feel like I trained appropriately, competed at my best. So it was honestly, I'd say, a successful year.
And as far as like the athlete experience goes, your first 2 individual years at the Games were, I would say, non-traditional, right? 2019, the heavy cuts, 2020, a virtual / Final 5 type scenario. And then this year kind of seemed like the most normal full, I guess, competition season. What stood out about this year's experience for you compared to the other 2?
Yeah, I felt like in 2019 and 2020, it was like some crazy thing, especially last year. So you're right, like this was kind of my first real experience of like having 40 athletes. So honestly, it wasn't that much different. It just felt like from 2020, like getting to have a crowd and stuff, but having more competitors out there was definitely more enjoyable.
You've been a fixture in the sport for a while now, and you're still barely in your 20s. For people who don't know about your origin story, how did you find CrossFit?
Yeah, so I've played like literally every sport. Back when I was in freshman year of high school, I was getting really burnt out on competitive gymnastics, and there was a CrossFit gym that was right beside of my gymnastics gym, and they had like see-through, they had windows so you could see inside, and I would see like these women like jumping rope, lifting weights, and like doing stuff on the pull-up bar, and I was like begging my dad. I was like, please take me, like I really want to try it, because I was ready to be done with gymnastics. And yeah, so he finally took me, and I did the intro class and literally fell in love and haven't done anything else since.
And we, for fans of the sport for a long time, we got to see you come up through the teenage division ranks and, win a championship there and be a fixture at the Games in that format. I think more modern fans are used to seeing you as a fixture of the Mayhem crew now. How did that relationship develop? How did you come to find Mayhem as your home away from home once you started to move into the adult divisions?
Yeah, so after 2018, when they announced all of those the changes were like sanctionals and all that, I was like, no way I'm going to be able to make it as an individual. So I had come down to Cookville for an aerobic capacity seminar and just ended up training a little bit with the crew. And then I got a message a few weeks later asking if I wanted to be on the second team, which is Mayhem Independence. And I was like, that's a great opportunity. Like, it'll let me get some experience competing in the older division, but also getting to train with Rich and the crew and stuff. So that's basically how I ended up here. I only did one team competition and ended up making it individually through the Open. But it was like it's honestly the best thing I've ever done moving here, because I don't think I would have just moved here if they hadn't asked me, but I'm so glad I did.
Being able to do that at such a young age, uproot your life and go to a place that you only know a few people, not many people could pull off at that point in their lives. What was it, do you think, that allowed you to have that level of maturity to make that decision?
Yeah, well, it took a lot of convincing from my parents, but I just knew that I needed to, I think, come down here to further better myself and get experience competing, which I thought that was going to be on a team. But that's exactly why I came down here. So,
And what is it about Cookville for, I would say, young athletes specifically that allows them to develop and be successful? Because we do see a lot of, it's a story now that more and more athletes we have seen, move to Cookville, train with Mayhem Crew, start to develop, perform much better, whether it's team, whether it's individual, anywhere in between. And, there's plenty of people that have trained with Rich and the crew there. But I'm curious about the younger athlete specifically. What is it about Cookville, the environment, that makes it a good place for someone who is just starting out in their career, just starting to scratch the surface and simultaneously meet their potential?
well, when you're training under Rich, like he's been doing it for so long, and obviously his name speaks for himself. So getting to train beside him and learning all of his techniques and just, getting better from that. And also not even just that, but getting to train with so many other amazing people. I got to train with Tasia in 2019, and I truly think I got so fit that year from just training with the team. And yeah, so I think the environment says a lot about itself, and we just have a good crew going on down here, and I think that everyone can benefit from it.
You've obviously had to sacrifice a lot in order to be able to train the way that you are and move to a new place. How do you deal with that, knowing that there's maybe some things that you are missing out on that normal teenagers and people in their early 20s are experiencing right now that maybe you're not?
Yeah, so I mean, like sometimes I do wish I wasn't sitting like in the off season, sitting at home on a Saturday night. But I think that I was given this talent for a reason, and that I'm getting to live a pretty cool life, getting to do what I love every day, and I'm getting to travel, I'm getting to compete. So I think that all the other little stuff won't matter in the end. And this, I'll look back and be glad that I chose this.
Mm-hmm. But how do you maintain that balance? Because I think, ultimately there is an element, to be fair, you still are in the early stages of your 20s. So in what ways do you allow yourself to step into that traditional role of being young and having fun and doing those things without, necessarily going too far or interfering with the path that you're on training wise? I know TikTok is one of them, but I'm curious if there's other ways that you allow yourself to I don't know, just be a traditional, young woman in her 20s.
Yeah, so actually my roommate, she doesn't do CrossFit, and she's my best friend. So that's perfect because I come home and I get to just be Haley and don't have to talk about CrossFit. We can just talk about regular stuff. And so that's honestly been so good for me to have, because it just, like I said, it makes you feel like Haley, and we can drop CrossFit when I walk into the door. And also have a few other friends too that don't do CrossFit. So that's a really good balance for me to have. But they also understand that like I can't go out and be crazy or anything. So it's really cool that they respect that, but still just want to hang out with me.
You mentioned experiencing burnout in gymnastics when you were younger. How have you avoided that from happening with CrossFit?
I think if that happens in CrossFit, you're definitely doing something wrong, just because there's so much that you can do and have fun with. And I just love the crew that I work out with every day. And that's been, I think, a huge part of that.
Yeah. And I'm curious now that some of the focus of the training in the last couple of years, because I think, we see tidbits of athletes' progress in training from time to time based on Instagram highlights, things like that, as well as, the small sample size we get at the games and in competition. And I'm curious what have been some of the things that you're most proud of in terms of your training the last couple of years as you've stepped into the individual spotlight.
Yeah, I think I'm most proud of just my overall growth, like physically and mentally, and just being able to kind of like grow up in the spotlight and still stay like true to who I am. But also just I'm proud of the strength gains that I've made, even though it's not a lot. But I've kind of come to terms with like it's my journey, and it doesn't matter what anyone else is lifting. It only matters what I can do, and I've put in a ton of work, and I still am, and I'm seeing personal growth. So that's the main thing for me.
Speaking of the strength stuff, what are you doing right now to keep progressing in a positive manner?
Yeah, so after Rogue, I took a little time off, but I'm about to start another strength cycle. The one I was doing after the games between Rogue, actually, I saw a lot of benefit from. That 212 at Rogue was really good for me, actually. So I'm excited to do another one of those and hopefully see even more growth.
I admire the way that you're able to take pride in the small victories, irrespective of where they stand compared to the rest of the field. I think it was quite evident during the snatch event at the Mid-Atlantic event, and the joy that we got to see calling that event between you and Tasia as well, and sharing that moment. Is there anything in particular that you do to be able to kind of keep that presence? Because that's to me, that's a level of athletic maturity that's wise beyond your years. And I'm curious if there's anything that you've done to help support that and develop that.
Right. I mean, there was a time when I was younger that I compared myself to everyone and was like upset that I couldn't lift this weight or would see someone else lifting more than me and it would bother me. But like I just said, I've seriously come to terms that like this is my journey and I'm doing everything that I can. And that's just like enough for me. And I'm seeing growth. So I know that I'm on the right path.
One of the things that I think that impressed me the most about you this year was your performance at the games, and it wasn't an event where you did well. It was one of the clean ladders where you were standing in front of a barbell for a while, and the way that you were able to respond from that, I think, was super impressive. Where does that mental fortitude come from?
I don't know. I think it's more of just trying to hold yourself together in front of thousands of people that are watching you. Just stand there, not do something. That's honestly, I feel like what makes me want to be better are those moments. So it literally the whole time I was out there, I was like, man, I cannot wait to go back and train and just do squat clean after squat clean. So it honestly makes me better.
Yeah.
Those moments.
I'm also always continually impressed by the maturity in terms of how you carry yourself and the presence in those big moments like that. I think, it's easy to get swallowed up at a young age by, big stages and big moments. And I'm curious if, whether it was the teenage divisions or anything like that, if there was a moment where you started to turn the corner in terms of feeling at home and feeling yourself on the competition floor. And is there a moment that stands out in your mind where you really started to recognize that?
I think 2018, I really started to feel comfortable, like not as spastic on the competition floor and generally felt like I had some experience. And then I'd say in 2019, when I started to do well during those early events, I felt like I had learned a lot during that year and kind of flipped a switch in my head.
Hey, everybody, we'll get back to Haley Adams in just a second. But first, we once again want to thank our sponsors for today's episode, starting with Vuori, the new perspective on performance apparel that is perfect if you are sick and tired of traditional old workout gear, and perfect if you are looking for the best gift to give to that special someone in your life, as we are now in the holiday season, because everything that they make is designed to work out in, but it doesn't look or feel like it. All of their apparel is so comfortable that you will want to wear it all the time. The products they make are incredibly versatile. You can use them for just about any activity, running, training, yoga, but also great for, lounging around or running those weekend errands. Vuori means mountain, but to us, it represents the view from the summit, the expansive clarity it can provide, and awe-inspiring experience it brings. And that is absolutely true, because you will put on those Ponto performance pants and maybe a nice, T-shirt that they make, and you are going to be wrapped in comfort, and you are going to feel awe-inspired about how good you feel just either walking around or at the gym or just relaxing at the house. Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Oh man, it's the best.
Love their stuff. Got that new insulated jacket that is just it's warm, it's lightweight, it's super comfortable,
and it looks good.
It looks good. Like, I'm a fan. Like, oh yeah, this fits my style. Going to throw out some products right now if you want to get them on your list for the holidays. The Rib Studio legging for the women, the Restore Half Zip, and the women's Alpine Sherpa jacket. Also make it for men. I know Tommy just got one. Can't wait to get that thing going. I know you're looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. For the men, the long sleeve Strato button down, the Ponto Performance Half Zip hoodie, and my favorite, the Ponto Performance pant. Can't go wrong with any of those. Put them on your list. Put them under the tree. Put them in the stocking, wherever. People are going to love them. Vuori is an investment in your happiness and also the happiness of the people on your holiday shopping list. For our listeners, they are offering 20% off your first purchase. So get some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing in the universe at vuoriclothing.com/talking elite. That's VUORI clothing.com/talking elite. You're going to get 20%